All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
Jonathan, you make me laugh all the time, bro. I love it, man. We are back again on the other side of the coin, and oh my days, look at this. This is what I reckon. Hollywood looks like. When all the stars come together. This must be Hollywood. I mean, Lyes knows everything about Hollywood. He's from the States. Yes, we are here. Man United, Chelsea versus Man United match preview. We've got the bad boy Lyes from the Man United side of things. He's going to obviously talk things up like as if Man United is going to win the Premier League. No, they're not. They're not going to win nothing. This time they're going to get a mad lesson from Thomas Tuchel as well. We've got Jonathan, Michelle, Taryn. First of all, before I go and say how everyone's doing, massive shout out to the live chat. The live chat has been unbelievable in recent streams, so I cannot honestly thank you guys enough. You guys have been a massive part of this show. The knowledge that a lot of you guys carry, honestly, they far exceeds mine. And I love it because it allows for the discussion. So thank you each and every one of you guys that has joined and that will join down the track, and we'll see the match, the preview later on. But first of all, I'll go to Lyes. How are you, my bro?
My guy, 4v1 today. You guys haven't made it easy for me, but I feel like I'm Thanos and you guys are the Avengers. So give me everything you guys got today.
You are gonna get absolutely pelted. Make no mistakes about it. Nishal, my bro, how you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. Great to have Lyes back on as well. Had him a few weeks ago. First episode together, really, really impressed me. So I'm looking forward to chatting about the game and also usual cast back together. Big game. I'm really looking forward to getting into it.
100%. Soccer Turtle, thank you for joining, my man. This is going to be a good one. Oh, you bet this is going to be a good one. Joel Flynn. Yes, guys, let's have it. Thank you for joining, Joel. And I think Michael, is that how you... Michael, yeah, that's probably how you pronounce it. Going to be a tough game. Polar opposites of Atleti stylistically. Tuchel will need to be extra wary of United's pace and penalties. Refs are United's best players, as we know. Shots fired already from the live chat. Taryn, my man, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good today. Thanks for having me on again, Miz. Yesterday was actually a really good episode. Good insights to get into that. And Miz, congratulations on 16k followers on Twitter.
Yes, sir.
Keep up the good work, man. Yeah, keep up the good work. It's just going to go up from now. I'm really proud of you. And yeah, it's good to be on the channel with a new face, Lyes. It's good to be on with you. And obviously, it's good to have a Man United fan on the channel to kind of go from enemy grounds and get some roasts and violations in.
Yes, sir.
Taryn, thank you heaps, man, for the kind words. It's a good milestone. Hopefully, we carry on. We all grow together. And you haven't met Lyes. You're going to be very impressed. Trust me, the ball knowledge this boy has is very, very good. My main man, Jonathan, man. How you doing?
Man United fan. Well, I just had to tell him to put the Arsene Wenger book down, so I'm quite unsure. I know he likes his football, but that was violating. I thought it was, Chelsea Arsenal. But look, I'm excited. I really like Lyes. I watch his other stuff. Doesn't just talk about Man United. Talks about loads of other things. I was really impressed with how he opened his video on Haaland and Mbappe. That little rivalry. So, and obviously main men as well, Nishal and Taryn. Really enjoy the reviews of these guys. So it's a massive game, and we're doing it. We're doing it justice here. So let's crack on.
Brilliant. Let's get into it. There's so much to talk about. Let's just get straight into the nitty-gritty of it. Future footballer, thank you so much. Haven't seen you for a while in the live chat. Smash that like button. Of course, smash that like button. Sean, Chelsea FC as well. I'm not worried about United. I like that, man. I like that attitude. All right, let's get straight into it. Obviously, you guys all know Nishal is an aspiring journalist, and he's covered our... he is there. He is there. Sorry about that. Let's correct that. He is an absolute genius of a journalist. He's covered the Thomas Tuchel press conference brilliantly, and I think we should start from there. And obviously, then we get Lyes' sort of point of view from the Man United side of things and how their press conference and any sort of team news. So let's start from let's just bring this up. Let's just start from here. Obviously, guys, give Nishal a follow. All his information is in the description, especially his blog, guys. Honestly, if you want top quality journalism, this is where you need to go. You'll get the legitimate stuff here. None of these BS or proper legitimate stuff. Guys, first of all, what I want to talk about is Thomas Tuchel talks about here that hopefully we can win. Tuchel said, this is what we go for. This is what we go for. We know that it's a big challenge because of their unbeaten away record. Let's start from this unbeaten away record, first of all. I'll go to my main man, Jonathan. Jonathan, I wasn't actually aware. Man United are not, they've not lost away this season. Is that's the word in the streets, right?
I've read quite a few things on there. Lyes can confirm that. But yeah, I have seen quite a few quotes on that. And obviously Nishal's best placed to, I know he's statistician as well as being a fantastic journalist. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because quite a few games they've come from behind. They probably should have lost quite a few games, to be fair. And they've picked up draws, they've picked up wins, they've come back really well. But I mean, I just want to open and say, I don't want to talk about Frank Lampard, but I'm going to say something here. If you look at the parallels between Lampard and Solskjaer, the differences between Solskjaer and Lampard is two things. The reason Solskjaer is still in the job. Number one is because Solskjaer has been able to count on individual brilliance throughout his stay at Man United. Look at Fernandes, look at Rashford at times, pulled them from behind in so many times. The amount of times they've gone behind because of his poor tactics and the defenders, and they've managed to claw draws and wins. That's his failures that have been made up for by individual brilliance. Lampard had it at times. Pulisic, on that run last year to get us top four, but we've had injuries. We haven't, had enough consistency from our players, and individual brilliance hasn't been there enough. And second of all, Man United have got, I wouldn't say defensive midfielders, but people in Fred, in McTominay, in Matic that are just sit and don't do much else. They're ugly footballers. They're not players that will breathe entertainment into a game, but will sit and hold and be able to plug spaces, which we are getting there with our pivot now, but we haven't had enough of that under Lampard. And that's the main differences for me. Other than that, similar managers. And if Solskjaer didn't have those two things, I think he would have been sacked by now as well. So yeah, interesting that, they've got an unbeaten away record. Full respect to them. They're second in the league. They're not there for no reason. They are a good team, but I feel like, the differences are that they've had players that have stepped up to the plate continually. So, yeah, I think that unbeaten run could be under threat this weekend now. And I don't want to, throw shots like you were saying and be too cocky because it could bite us. But I honestly think a draw is a good result for Man United because it maintains a 6-point gap between the two teams. Obviously, Liverpool are 3 points behind us. So even if they win, Leicester are challengers for second and third. But West Ham can't see them, keeping it up. So their main rivals, Man United, are Leicester, Chelsea, and Liverpool. If you can keep a 6-point gap between us and between Chelsea and Man United, I think Solskjaer will be happy with that.
No, 100% agreed. I mean, let's go to Lyes right away on this particular subject. We've talked about this whole situation with Man United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in detail many times. I know you've got your sort of concerns about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I feel like at times, as Jonathan said, you guys are still second. I don't think you guys always get the respect that you probably deserve a little bit, in the sense that after how many games have we played? 25, 26 games in the Premier League, something like that. You're still second. So, and you've been in that second position, or in the top 4 position for quite a while. However, Thomas Tuchel goes on to say in that particular press conference that individual brilliance is something that he's weary about in Man United. And you've talked about this, Lyes, many times, that it may not always be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's strategy or his setup that wins the match. It's the individual brilliance that sort of takes them over the line predominantly. What's your thoughts? I mean, do you feel like, once again, in this particular upcoming match, this is what you're going to be relying on? Obviously, Thomas Tuchel has played Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a couple of times. Well, yeah, a couple of times this season already. So this will be the third time. I think they're one apiece. I mean, do you see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer like outwitting Tuchel, or it's just going to be down to individual brilliance again?
I think with especially in the big games, right? I think you kind of know what his game plan is going to be before the game even starts, right? So for me, every single big game that United has played this year has kind of been the same strategy, and that's he arrives to the ground, usually in the away games, right? He comes to the ground, he plays Fred and McTominay right in between his defense. He sits deep, he absorbs pressure, and as many times as we can, it's Rashford, Bruno, Pogba, Martial, whoever, break, and then just do what you do, which is score individual brilliant goals, which like you guys have been kind of saying, like that is the normal United goal, right? Like if you think about most teams, right, what goal does City score? These incredible moves that are like 8-9 passes, right? And with United, it's always just these insane counterattacks, right? So that is what I'm expecting from this kind of game. It's going to be just a smash and grab win if United does get a win. If not, it's going to be an ugly game because you see how Chelsea plays, right? It's lots of possession, very patient approach. When you lose it, you immediately press to win it back quickly. Yeah. I could see more of the same coming from this kind of game.
Yeah, man. The way we are counter pressing is absolutely impressive.
Perfect.
There's a lot of talk about how certain parts, not everyone, just small portion of the fan base that constantly says that we've been playing against teams that sit back. They're not having a go at us. I do want to counter that by saying I think we're making them sit back as well. They do want to counter, but we win the ball back so quickly that we cut out their passing lanes to make that transition. So people are underestimating our counter press a lot. Nishal, I do want to go to you now. Just going back into this particular brilliant sort of piece that you've written. Let me just enlarge that a little bit. I want to talk about this portion over here where Tuchel continues by saying it will be a big challenge to defend all this and counterattacks. If we get a win out of this, it's huge for us. It would be huge for them to increase the difference between us. Let's see where we are. Just a couple of things in this, two things he talks about. He talks about the being worried about Man United's counterattack, and also Man United has, as Jonathan has mentioned as well, that they have something huge to play in this match to increase that difference between us and not get caught out. Because let's be honest, if they were to lose this, their situation in the top four becomes quite interesting. So from your point of view, just talk about these couple of things: Man United counterattack, and are we set up properly these days to sort of tackle that? And also from their point of view, they're really going to be gunning for a victory. As much as Jonathan said they'll be happy with the draw, but surely they'll be gunning for a victory as well.
Absolutely, both teams will be going for a win. Tuchel was speaking about the points difference between the two teams. We're currently 6 points apart. That gap can be close to 3 or extended to 9. So really, it's a huge game, whichever way it goes. So that's why he's speaking. It'll be a big win for either team, but we have to be wary of the counter-attack, and in particular, Bruno Fernandes. He is going to be the key player. And in terms of how we set up, the main battle I'm looking at is Jorginho and Mateo Kovacic against Bruno Fernandes, because we know they're all capable of playing against each other and containing each other, but Fernandes is good enough to really take those two on and break them down. So that's going to be a fascinating battle to watch. I think with a back three, you're set up in a different way, of course. Back four is a bit more conventional. You've got that straight line and you're a bit more, I guess, rigid in shape. With a back three, you usually push up high and you can drop back into a back five. But of course, as we know about wing backs, we've seen in previous years where that can be broken down and abused. But recently, the wing backs have done well. Marcus Alonso, it's not often we say this, but he's not been too bad when coming back and defending. Of course, with Anthony Martial, Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, that's going to be an interesting battle to see if he's starting. And then, of course, we've got the other centre-backs playing together. Thiago Silva is going to be missing out. So it's another big test for Andreas Christensen. So the setup we're going to see, I think it will be capable of playing against United. Let's not forget, the last time we played a back three against Manchester United, we got through to the FA Cup final. And it was one of the best tactical decisions Frank Lampard made in his short but sweet tenure. So we've come with this approach before. Tuchel has played Solskjaer before, and he spoke about that. He knows how to approach United. Even just 2-3 months ago, it wasn't long where they played each other in his PSG days. So the tactical battle is going to be really interesting. Like Lyes said, it's going to be difficult against United. We've seen their results against the big City. Goalless against us, goalless against City, goalless against Liverpool. May not be a pretty game, and it wouldn't be a surprise to see United sit back straight away. But whichever way the game goes, it is going to be a massive turning point for one of these teams in their season.
Now, for sure, we've already got some Man United fans in the house. Glory, glory, Man United. No. None of that. None of that in the other side of the point. None of that. Taryn, Extreme HD has caught my eyes. Welcome to the stream, Extreme HD. Taryn, I want to talk to you about this one. Man United are cowards. They will park the bus, surely. I mean, do you expect them to sort of sit back in this particular match? What's your expectation that what Man United's going to do? I feel like this is going to be another one of those games where they will sit back and wait for the counters, but I feel like we are well structured now these days to negate the counters as well. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, we've seen in plenty of games this season, it's no coincidence that when Solskjaer comes up against a big side, he tends to play Fred and McTominay close to the back four and just use individual talent to counter on many occasions. And I don't think it's going to be any different today. As Solskjaer will know, we have a lot of threat in attack with Mason Mount, Olivier Giroud, Timo Werner. If they do decide to attack, we can easily get in behind Harry Maguire and Lindelof and get goals. But yeah, I think that it's all about the midfield battle today, tomorrow, so on Sunday, to try and combat it. If Jorginho and Kovacic can get close to Bruno Fernandes and try and stop that, no matter how they play, try and prevent the counterattacks for Man United, I think we'll be just fine. And about that, I think that if they can play Rashford in, then it could cause some issues. But if we can stop that with whoever's playing right back, I'll probably would play Reece James tomorrow, to be honest, to try and counter that. Or Azpilicueta, obviously, to try and counter that. But yeah, I do expect them to play counter-attacking football. We know that they have a lot of threat on the counter-attack. It's not hiding to say they beat big teams this season. Obviously, beat Leipzig 5-0 in the Champions League. That was probably the biggest win that I can remember of Man United. But they've had a lot of draws away from home and at home against big teams. So I'm sure they're going to be quite up for it tomorrow on Sunday. to cause some issues to us and try and rout Thomas Tuchel to try and get his first loss. But I'm really confident with Thomas Tuchel that no matter what system he plays, that we can outcoach Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as we've seen before, that he has a good tactics at the minute and we have a good system. So yeah, I'm quite confident no matter what happens.
No, fair point. Soccer Turtle, I think we're going to get a lot of possession and scrap a goal in the second half. Honestly, I'll take a 1-0. To be honest, we just need the victory. But I kind of picture it to be like that, where we are going to get a lot of possession. Let's start the second round of this discussion. We've completed the first round. Second round of discussion. Let's go straight to Lyes this time, first of all. Lyes, let's talk a little bit about Man United form. It's been a bit up and down, I feel like, in recent times. Huge win not that long ago in Europa Cup against Real Sociedad, which, honestly, I didn't expect that away from home. A 4-0 thrashing. Let's face it, Sociedad in this La Liga, they've actually been pretty good. So that was a top result from you guys. But in the Premier League, it's been a bit up and down. There was a 9-0 victory against Southampton, and then there was also the Sheffield United loss. There was also some other mixed bag sort of results. Recently, I think you guys
against
had
West Brom.
Yeah, West Brom, the 1-1. Then you guys took care of Newcastle. What's the vibe like in the Man United fan base right now? I mean, let us know where you guys stand in terms of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer next season, the future again. I know we talk about this all the time, but it feels like Solskjaer doesn't do himself favor. It's like he always stays in the balance where, it can go this way or that way in terms of his future. How's the fan base feeling about the form and about Ole as a manager?
I mean, this is like, we could have an hour, 2-hour discussion on this, to be quite honest with you, if we wanted to. It really depends on who you ask, because I made a video on this recently. I feel like the United fan base is kind of like in the same situation that maybe even the Chelsea fan base was in with Lampard, and the Arsenal fan base is with Arteta, and even the Spurs fan base with Mourinho. And that's, you have some fans in the United camp that are like, okay, this is a long-term process. We knew when we hired Ole that there would be bumps in the road. We weren't expecting the challenge at this point. We should be enjoying the season as it comes. And then there's another side of the fan base, which I think I'd lean more towards myself, that says, listen, we can say, okay, next year might be our year and it's a process, but there's 4 or 5 other clubs that are saying the same thing. And as a club as big as Man United, with the resources that we spend and the players we have, should we just be content with kind of falling for this process that the club sells us and attempt to kind of downplay expectations, which is the way I take it. Yeah. So like I said, that kind of leads into, do United fans like Solskjaer, or more so, do we believe he's a long-term fit? For me, like, you guys know my stance, Miz, at least. I don't believe in this process of his. I think he's done exceptionally well to get us to this point. Like you said, second place is no mean feat, no matter how you want to display it.
I think I asked you this a while back, that you don't believe he can win a league, right? You don't believe he's got the tactical know-how to win a league. And at the end of the day, that's the aim for Man United. They're not there to be in the top 4.
It has to be. Like, is what some United fans like. I question how long they've been watching like the club and supporting the club, because the expectations and the standards have been dropped now to like enormous levels where United should be clubs like United and Chelsea and City and Liverpool. These clubs spend so much money and have so many resources and buy so many players. They should be aiming to challenge for the league every single season. And for me, I look at it and I see, okay, yeah, fine, we're second and we're 10 points off a really good City team. But this is a City team who isn't playing with a striker. Next season, if they get Erling Haaland, they are going to be the best team on the planet, in my opinion. Yeah. You have Liverpool, who we are 9 points ahead of at the moment, which is great, right? Like at the beginning of the season, that would have been the main expectation for United fans is close the gap on Liverpool. But this is also a Liverpool team who have had massive injuries to key members of their spine. So how can we expect that to continue next season when Van Dijk comes back and then Gomez comes back and maybe they buy a player here or there? So for me, like, yeah, second place is a great season. I definitely didn't expect that this season, but I just think with context added to it, and when you look at the managers that we're going up against, right, the Premier League probably has the best group of managers in world football at the moment. Guardiola, Klopp, Tuchel, Mourinho. You even look at Bielsa, Marcelo Bielsa at Leeds. That's incredible. So to compete with these, already we don't have the best team. City has the best team. So how can we, as United fans, expect United to compete with City if we don't even have the best players or the best coach? For me, it's unrealistic. So, I mean, if you want to go on to this recent run of form, I feel like it's low-key been coming, because one thing that people don't understand, or maybe they forget, is that you cannot fluke a league season, right? 38 games, you can't fluke first. The best team in the league always wins. The worst team in the league always gets relegated. Second comes second, third comes third. It's not like the Champions League where you can go on this run where individual players bail you out consistently and you can still come up on top. The Premier League, no one ever flukes it. So people can say, oh, we got unlucky in this game against West Brom. We got unlucky against Sheffield United. This happened, XG, X, whatever. But there's been games, like you correctly pointed out, against Wolves where we played absolutely horrible. And in the last moment of the game, Rashford picks up the ball on the right, cuts in and scores probably the first time with his left foot in his career. So it all evens out at the end of the day. And I feel like this run of form is kind of just evening out the run of form we had earlier when we were on this amazing run. So to me, it's not a huge surprise.
No, fair point. Jonathan, in the contrast to that, I feel like with our fan base, and I want to get your perspective as well. I know it's early days, but it seems like there is a sense of that Tuchel could perhaps have that long tenure that we've been sort of asking for from a manager for a very, very long time. It feels like majority of the fan base does see his process, his structure, his in-game management, and they love the press conference as well and how honest he is, comes off the match. Whenever he's made a mistake against Southampton, he's actually come out and said that, I put my hand up. I didn't really like the way I've sort of managed that game. Probably should have brought in Giroud in that match. So I love that honesty and how he talks about tactics and everything that he's been doing in recent times. There's some really, really good quotes in recent times in the last 24 hours. I'm not sure if you've seen where Tuchel has been quoted to say that he's told the players that if you get a victory against Atletico Madrid, I'll possibly give you a couple of days off, as a reward, just to give them that motivation. And some of the players sort of like looked at each other and like, what? 2 days off? Really? So it's things like that, just little things that he's trying to get the best out of the team and motivating them. And this comment from Extreme HD, sorry, not this one. There was another Extreme HD. You're going mental with all the comments. I can't keep up, but they're all really good comments. This one where he says, guys, Haaland rumors is heating up. Looks like the club is sort of feeling that, they do want to back him and they trust in his particular, process and the game plan that he has. Is that how you feel as well?
No doubt Tuchel has been an absolute breath of fresh air, that his honesty, the way he conducts himself, the way he talks, he comes out and, like you said, kind of admits his mistakes, which not many managers do. So, the fact that, he's got a clear system, that the players have bought into it. He's got a style. He's brought the best out of certain players. I'm not going to compare him to Kante in any other sense other than he's got an extra 10, 20% out of players like Alonso, like the defenders at the moment, Rudiger. Those two players were completely cast aside by so many Chelsea fans. And he's gone, right, between now and the end of the season, I've got to play through at the back because that's how I'm going to get us through and meet the objectives that the Chelsea board, in my opinion, have said, look, you can sign this deal. This is the expectation for this year. This is the expectation for next year. And if you don't get it, we'll part ways. So I'm not under any illusion that he's going to be a long-term manager. He's a long-term manager if he continues to hit the objectives that Roman Abramovich sets. And you talking about Haaland is something that, for me, he could go to any club in the world. He's got a choice. He is that good of a player. He's going to score goals anywhere. It's whether, Abramovich goes, yep, fancy it, want to spend the money. And if he wants to spend the money, then we'll get him. If he doesn't want to spend it, I don't think we will get him, because obviously there are so many other clubs that get him, or that want him. So many facets to it. I'm just really happy to have a manager that in big games will stand up and play the right system to get us the result we need. Yes, I wasn't fully impressed by the Atletico Madrid result. As I said in the review, I wasn't sure whether we would have scored other than that overhead kick goal from Giroud. But the fact we went there and dominated the ball, and at times there were 6-7 men at the back. And I know people say Atletico Madrid are a defensive team, but point to their La Liga games where, and I said it, second top scorers, they may play this style in the Champions League. And Lyes says it really well in the video and just now, where he says Champions League, you can set up in certain games and rely on individual brilliance, like Man United do a lot of in the Premier League season. And, we didn't get found out there. Not many teams can play Atletico Madrid and do what we did. So, yeah, I'm really impressed with Tuchel. But, and I'll probably do a video on this next week because I feel like I need to be heard. But he will adjust to four at the back, in my opinion, because we don't have enough going forward. And the reason I've been talking recently about, us not getting enough players in the box, that's not, when we're crossing the ball, there's no one there on the end of it, is because right now Tuchel is going the end of the season, and then I'm going to have my style and my system, which I think suits us and helps us attack more. Because we can't, look at the games under Tuchel. We scored 2 goals in 2 games, I think. We scored a lot of ones. We've had a couple of, I think we've had one where we blanked. So I think he knows we need to get more out of it, which is why he's probably put Hudson-Odoi at right wing back, because he wants to get us a bit more forward. So I'm just really happy with how he's got this team, gelled it together. I think it's going to be seen until the end of the season, and then we're going to see something different starting kind of next season. And I say I'm really excited to talk about that when the end of the season comes.
I agree 100%, Jonathan. Spot on.
No, absolutely. Taryn, I want to now go to you and with Michelle, I want to talk about the whole Thiago Silva situation. But with Taryn, I'm not sure if you've noticed this. Simon Johnson in the last 24 hours tweeted something, which was an article that he published in the Athletic, and he said that squad enjoys his man management style. He's talking about Thomas Tuchel, obviously. They feel better prepared for matches. Azpilicueta is empowered again. Travel for matches has changed. His humble nature has won over all the stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people that talk about new manager bounce and somewhat downplays his impact and his experience. Do you feel like this is a lot more than just new manager bounce? I mean, of course, there's always a honeymoon period and whatnot in the early stages, but surely there has to be some sort of weight that needs to be given that. Now, this guy is a legitimate top of the ranks manager. Is that how you feel as well?
To some extent, I do agree that it could have been seen as a honeymoon period, because we've seen on many occasions, for example, when Duncan Ferguson came in last year as an interim for Everton, he got some good victories. For example, beat Chelsea, and he got a decent result at a big ground. I don't remember what ground it was, but yeah, it can happen with a manager bounce. But for me, I feel that Tuchel's come in and made a real impact in many factors. The way he's empowered Azpilicueta again is a big factor. It wasn't nice seeing Dave out of the team. Yeah, it wasn't nice, but he's bringing some fringe players such as Rudiger and Alonso, which I feel is going to help the morale of the team, such as training and other sessions like that. And also, he's made the team gel better together in general when we're playing. We seem to be playing more as a unit now, connecting with everyone. There seems to be a lot more chemistry and a lot more fight and teamwork in our goals and the way we defend. So yeah, I think Tuchel's made a big impact, and it's clear to see that he's a top coach. We've seen many occasions. He's coached in Champions League finals. He's coached Borussia Dortmund to a DFB Pokal, and he's got the best out of players such as Ousmane Dembele and changed Marco Reus to a cam. So yeah, I have a lot of faith in Thomas Tuchel so far. And for people to think that it's a honeymoon period, I can see where they're coming from, but I think you need to delve deeper into it and think that this guy really is a top manager. And these results aren't flukes. We've dominated one of the best teams in Europe this season, Atletico Madrid, who have only lost, I think, three or 2 games in the Liga. We absolutely dominated them, and they didn't even have a sniff, apart from one chance for Thomas.
They didn't have a shot on target.
They didn't have a shot on target, yeah. And Tottenham Hotspur as well, they're in good form. whether they had Harry Kane or not in that game, we absolutely dominated them and shut them down, stopped the counter-attacks from the team completely. And yeah, I think you just need to look a bit deeper into it and realise that Tuchel's doing a really good job. But I've come to it before, and I'll come to it again, that these next few fixtures are going to be huge for Tuchel. If he can get the best out of Liverpool, Man United, Leeds and Everton, then I don't think many fans can say that's the honeymoon period. You have to be saying you're excited for what's going to happen. Of course, as Chelsea fans, we know that we're not too on as like managers been long term as for like 3 to 4 years, 4 to 5 years. But right now, I'm just looking at game to game. If he can get good results game to game, and next season implement a system as probably a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 with better players, then yeah, I think that he'll do really well, and I'm really excited. But yeah, I think that right now it may be a little bit of a honeymoon period, but soon we'll see once he starts racking up these results, and when we probably beat Man United. Sorry, Lyes. Yeah, it's going to go really well.
That in there. No, absolutely, man. I'm confident. Now, well said, Taryn. Honestly, before we go to Nishal, a massive shout out to the live chat. There was nearly 40 people at one stage. Smash that like button. I'm really enjoying what you guys have to say as well. Just quickly, Michael, Jorginho versus Fernandes, game of pens.
You won't beat Bruno.
This is going to be interesting if both of them get a penalty. And also, shout out to Soccer Turtle. I think we need to do this, boys. We really do. Miz, can we do a combined 11 with Lyes, please? I think that's going to be exciting down the track. And also, there was a nice comment here from Joel, I believe. Where's that? Here we go. We have to be putting them chances away. United may only get a couple, but they can put them away. This is so true. We need to be clinical. I know, and I've seen United matches. These guys are one thing. They're clinical, are fun. They get chances, they put it away, whereas we, even against Atletico Madrid, we had quite a few chances. I feel like we should have won at least 2-3-0. There were a few chances where clear cut in their final third, but we just made the wrong decision. So Joey, completely understand what you're saying. Let's get into the whole tactical analysis now. We're going to talk about a lot of things about this match. We talked about the managers, where the teams are and whatnot. Nisha, first of all, what a massive, I suppose, in the context with Andreas Christensen playing so well, which has been fantastic, but Silva not being fit again. I mean, I was really expecting him to play this particular match. This is a very, very big match, probably in the same caliber, I'd say, of Atletico Madrid. It's a must-winner, the way I see it, if we are to go back to the top four and really keep putting the pressure on. Do you feel the same way that Thiago Silva loss is a big one, or do you feel that Christensen has been in fine form and you've got the trust with him at the moment?
To say Thiago Silva isn't a big loss doesn't do him justice, because when we've seen him in our defence, we've seen a huge, huge difference compared to last season where we were shocking in defence. We look so much better when Thiago Silva is at the heart of it. So it's a massive loss. It's a real shame as well, because I remember a few weeks ago, the aim was having back for Southampton. And of course, he was training before that game, but he couldn't play. He also was in the build-up to Atletico, but he didn't travel and couldn't play. And then again today, he was involved in an individual training session. He even played in first team training, but he still can't play. So it's a massive loss for sure. And definitely something that United can exploit, because I was on another podcast the other day talking to some United fans.
Yeah, you've been busy. I've noticed. You've been a busy bee.
What can I say? I was speaking to some other United fans, and they were talking about exploiting our back three, because without Thiago Silva, Aspilicueta, Rudiger, Christensen, they're good, but they're definitely ones you can exploit. They definitely have their flaws and vulnerabilities. And against an attack like United, I can comfortably say it is one of the best attacks in the league, without a shadow of a doubt. When you bring those up, United's first choice defence versus our, who knows at this point, second, third choice back three, it will be an interesting battle, and also one for concern for us. But, Andreas Christensen, we were worried when he was coming in. We weren't sure if he'd be up to that level and be able to deputise for Thiago Silva. But he's been outstanding. And you just go back and watch our Atletico review, where we all spent about half an hour just saying we all love Christensen, what a player, he's incredible, amazing defender. And he's showing those performances. And like I've said before, he can perform against the top teams, playing against Lionel Messi and Mönchengladbach, playing brilliantly against Luis Suarez the other day. He can perform and he can do really well in the heart of the defence. And to do Jonathan's little bingo card, ball playing defender, perfect. We need that for every game and every team we play. So it is a big loss. I'm disappointed that Thiago Silva will miss out. But from what we've seen with Andreas Christensen, in recent weeks, I've got trust in him. And I trust
Yeah.
Tuchel's decision to start him on Sunday.
Yeah, man. I'm actually I'm bummed about the fact that Thiago Silva's not playing because his leadership and his defensive ability is just unmatched. But at the same time, I'm really gassed about Andres Christensen. He's been showing the right spirit, his confidence, and the way he marshaled Luis Suarez and also João Felix in that match against Atletico Madrid. And since Silva has been injured, he's been fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to that and how he sort of combats the pace of Rashford and all the firepower that Man United have. Let's talk a little bit about Man United news, my man. Give us some insights. I believe Pogba is unavailable. I also believe Cavani has a bit of a doubt in this particular match. Two players that I'm very, very happy they're possibly not going to be part. Well, Pogba definitely not going to be part of, which is a massive relief for me, and I'm sure for the boys as well. Cavani is fantastic up front. We all know his movement. First of all, tell me about these two particular players, and also any other sort of players that may be unavailable for this particular match.
Yeah, Pogba is definitely out, which for me is massive. But he's been out for a while, and no one really anticipated him to be back for this game. Cavani, I think, is on and off. I'm not 100% sure the status of that, but I would expect even if he is available, he will only be coming off the bench at most. For me, a big one is Scott McTominay, who I think is a pretty big doubt for this game. And listen, I've always said,
but you never rated him. You never rated him.
I never rated him, but also I also don't rate Fred, to be honest with you. And I think in a game like this, because if McTominay is out and Pogba is out, we're going to be seeing Nemanja Matic. And I think Matic is really, you just don't know what you're going to get out of him, because some games you can get Nemanja Matic of 2014 when he came and joined Chelsea for the second time against Yaya Toure, and he'll just dominate a game. And then some games it's just going to be a mess. It's literally just going to be terrible. And I'm sure you guys all know that, right? You've seen Nemanja Matic for years at Chelsea. So I think that one can be really big, because though McTominay is not capable of the great games Matic has on his day, I think he provides a lot of energy in there that Matic doesn't. He's providing a goal threat this year, which Matic doesn't. And McTominay has been great in both boxes. He's really making himself, honestly, a very decent box-to-box midfielder. So if we are to miss him, it will be a pretty big loss, because I think Matic, against this amazing press that Tuchel has implemented at Chelsea in such a short amount of time, could really struggle, right? Because he's a player who likes to hold on to the ball. He likes to take his time. We'll see how that does against such an aggressive Chelsea team. But those are really the three that I think are, I mean, Pogba, like I said, is definitely out. Cavani, I think, is on and off, and so is McTominay. But yeah, man, Thiago Silva is a big loss, right? I was telling my dad earlier, right? If I could pick one, if Chelsea fans could pick one player from United to not play, it would be Bruno Fernandes, right? Or maybe Paul Pogba. I would guess Bruno.
Bruno Fernandes. I think the fan base will tell you that Bruno Fernandes is probably the one that we don't want him to play. Yeah.
Right. For me, the one player, if you could tell me any Chelsea player you don't want him to play, it'd be Thiago Silva, because I think he's the best defender. He keeps that entire team together. When you talk about leaders and experience, I think he is Chelsea's one pure leader. Azpilicueta might wear the armband, but Silva is a natural born leader. So for me, if I could take anyone out of that lineup, I would take him. So I am pretty happy that he isn't going to be playing this game. But when you talk about injuries to key players, I think Tuchel really has most of the guys he'd want to call upon outside of Silva. I think Oli is really going to be kind of mixing and matching different combinations. It'll be interesting to see if De Gea returns his spot after so many weeks of poor form, and Henderson is really making that position his own. It'll be interesting to see if he jumps back to De Gea. Bailly, for me, I've always said is United's best center half, so it'll be interesting to see if he drops him yet again for Lindelof, which I think would be a disaster.
Bro, there's some clips about Lindelof, how he's missing headers. He's misjudging headers. And there's also another clip where he's absolutely knocked out a Real Sociedad player. I mean, what's up with this guy and his heading abilities?
He's the biggest clown at the club, man. He's easily my least favorite player. I cannot stand Victor Lindelof, man. And for me, Eric Bailly is for me on his day is just amazing. But I guess Oli doesn't want to break apart a long-term partnership between Maguire and Lindelof. Even though I think if you ask most of the fan base, they'll tell you Maguire plays better with Bailly. But I'm expecting a lot of mixing and matching. And you talk about the attack that United has, you guys definitely say we have a great attack. The numbers don't lie about that, but it's interesting at the same time that most of our goal contributions have come from two players, and that's Bruno and Rashford. Martial is having a horrible season. Greenwood is really hitting a sophomore slump where he isn't finding the same good form that found him last season. Dan James has come into this. I think he played against the last 2 games. He scored a goal. So like they're kind of relying on different guys. Cavani is on and off as well. So yeah, I can't lie. I'm pretty nervous about this game. We'll talk about Chelsea in a bit as well, more about my thoughts on them. But I'm not feeling great about United. Like regardless of who we were playing, I'm not super optimistic about us right now.
Now, fair point. Let's go straight to Jonathan. Jonathan, obviously, as Leah said, there are some individual qualities there. Rashford, one being absolutely on form, but on a given day, even Martial, we've seen he's scored goals against us as well. And obviously, they've got Bruno Fernandes. I seem to always, whenever I go to you, I end up talking about this particular 6-6 situation. For somehow, I'm always talking to you about this. I think it's an important point, though. Obviously, I don't expect Thomas Tuchel to change the formation. Obviously, we're going to go with the 3 at the back.
Yeah.
So far, we've seen predominantly Kovacic and Jorginho, and we've pinned the opposition on their half. Man United loves to be pinned anyway. Every time they've kind of played against us, they like to be pinned and they like to be resolute at the back. Who are you going with the middle? You still keeping with Jorginho and Kovacic, knowing that they control possession well, but at the same time consider the fact that these guys probably have the most paciest players out there. We haven't probably faced this level of players under Thomas Tuchel, short run as yet. I don't feel like we've really faced this level of pace yet. Even Atletico Madrid, as pacey as they are, I think Man United's a different beast in terms of fast counter-attacking football.
Yeah, 100%. It's a completely different test. It's the second one in a row. Obviously, the Madrid test was completely different, and this one's going to be a challenge in itself. And talk about just a little bit about team news. I'm reading on the Man United website. It says Scott McTominay, Donny van de Beek, who everyone seems to have forgotten about, and Edison Cavani can be available for the weekend, but he's not sure. And he talked about Lindelof and Bailly, and yeah, I agree. Probably be Maguire and Lindelof. But yeah, to talk about Chelsea, I think midfield-wise, he's going to keep the same shape. He's going to keep the same pivot, in my opinion. I think he'll go with Kovacic and Jorginho. And the reason I would say that is because Bruno Fernandes loves to get in that space, in and around kind of the hole, the number 10. And as much as I love Kante, I repeat myself so many times, he's not as good at holding his space and his position and his role. Kovacic and Jorginho will be a lot more disciplined. They will sit a little bit deeper. Yeah. Kovacic obviously likes to be deep and then break, which I'm sure he can do off Fernandes, get the ball, break. So to have Kante with Kovacic, I wouldn't be against that. But, is Kovacic going to be the one sitting? No. Is Kante going to be the one sitting? No. You leave that amount of space for Rashford, for Greenwood, for Bruno Fernandes, especially to come in and exploit, we could be in trouble, especially on counters. And if you go with Kante and Jorginho might sit a little bit more, but then he hasn't got a partner in crime with him like he does in Kovacic. Because Kante, as much as he's great for certain things, in my opinion, in this game, Kante is a fantastic option. 60-ish minutes, if the game is still tight or we need to, slow the game down and have someone that's going to intercept and go up and down, bring Kante on as a third midfielder to then switch it up. Because for me, Tuchel's, seen this pivot perform pretty well. And in a big game like this, I know we're at home and we're expected to have a lot of the possession, which we will have with Kovacic and Jorginho. Do we want to risk having space in behind? Because as much as you could say, okay, Christensen, come out and step out, get the ball off of Fernandes and then get rid of it. Or Rudiger and Azpilicueta could maybe move. But I feel like Rashford, if Cavani plays, they're going to have a few players that are going to occupy the centre-back. So it's going to be down to the pivot to break up in and around the box and to kind of do the dirty work and the cleaning up. So, yeah, Kante is a third centre mid for me, as I've said in many games. At the moment, that seems to be the way he suits Chelsea's system and Tuchel's system. So, yeah, Kovacic, Jorginho, I know you love asking me that. But, yeah, I think they serve a purpose. Are they both the best players in the world in that position? Maybe not. But right now, as I said earlier on, we've got a system until the end of the season, in my opinion, and those two in this sort of game will tick the boxes.
Just quickly to you as well, Jonathan. Recent reports have come out. I don't know how truthful it is, and I want to just get your point. Apparently, Kante is unhappy being benched. I sort of said, this man can never be unhappy. He's done it all. He's won the Premier League. He's won the World Cup. Obviously, you do want to play matches, but the team spirit, I'm pretty sure he'll be all up for the team spirit. And I feel like there is a spot for Kante. You know, it may not be at the current moment, but next season, if we were to change that pivot around and accommodate someone a little bit more suitable to partner Kante, we could mount a title challenge with him again. Do you buy into this whole unhappiness of Kante?
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of all these rumours, to be fair. I don't really listen too much to it because you never know. I mean, everyone thought that certain players got managers sacked and they've been, found out. So it's difficult because, look, Kante's, a very happy guy. I mean, that's one thing to say. But look, if I was Chelsea and I was Tuchel, I would explain what I've been saying on the stream. You have a purpose at this club and I need you for my system and for my team to function in certain situations and certain scenarios. So, yeah, Kante will have a partner. I don't think he's going to be that unhappy. I just don't think he suits, as I say, this system right now. But look, Kante, if we get the right partner, he can be absolutely fantastic. I think that going forward, we will see a lot of this pivot and we will see him play a lot of games. But we've rushed Kante back in so many situations. He's been injured. He's come back. He's played 4 or 5 games, got injured for 1-2 months, brought him back for 4 or 5 games. He's got injured. Right now, we're playing him, as a sub. We're playing him in a few times from the starting 11. We're easing him back in and his form is getting much better. So if anything, the way we're going right now actually suits Kante because it's going to let him get a run of games, going to get him a period without injuries because we've seen so often in the last couple of years him being out of games and having him as an option from the start and on the bench is really, really important. So, yeah, if he wants to stay, he'll stay. If he wants to go, he'll go. Because I think we owe him that because he's been a fantastic servant for the club. But we talk about world-class players. He's world-class at what he does. And we need him in certain situations. So I'm sure Tuchel's dealing with that behind the scene. And so is the club.
No, for sure. Taryn, I feel like Man United's defense, not just recent times, but throughout this particular season, has been a bit suspect. On the contrast, our defense is looking a lot solid. For you, knowing that defense is a bit suspect and we're probably, we do get into the final third a lot of times. How are you shaping up in the front? We need to be clinical. We can't just be fluffing our chances. We can't just be hoping that Oliver Giroud just comes up with bangers every game for us. How are you shaping up front in terms of, let's say, the strikers and the 210s that generally, Thomas Tuchel plays? Who are the 3 players that you're going to play up front to ensure that I believe 100% these guys will put those chances away?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the striker. For this game, I'm probably going to stick with Olivier Giroud because despite Maguire's maybe lack of pace to defend behind the lines, we've seen that with more mobile strikers, maybe like Batshuayi or Abraham. Last season, Batshuayi didn't play that well against Maguire. Needed Abraham. We saw at Old Trafford earlier in the season, we played with 3 kind of mobile forwards with Timo Werner, Pulisic and Mount, I believe. And we didn't really get him behind Maguire as much as we wanted to. But last season in the FA Cup semi-final, we played Giroud with his back to goal against Maguire and we created much more chances because if Giroud can stay on Maguire, get him out of the game, he's probably their best centre-back in my opinion at the minute. Maybe not Eric Bailly. I haven't seen much of Bailly, so I'd probably say Maguire. If we can get Maguire out of the game, get Werner in behind past Wan-Bissaka or past Lindelof, I think that's the way we can affect the back line. But we need to take more risks in the final third. I've come to this a lot of times. If we can make a cutback and maybe Kovacic can make a late run into the box sometimes just to switch it up a bit. Because I saw in one of Jonathan's tweets as well that when Timo Werner was running through against Atletico, there was no one in the box to help him. He had to just shoot and hope for the best. We need to kind of commit forward more because Man United, I've seen in recent games, they've been quite frail at the back. Against West Brom, the striker that I'm not quite sure his name. I think it's I'm not going to try and say his name, but yeah, the striker that scored against Man United early in the game. I've seen him. He looked quite clumsy in the whole game, and he missed some sitters, but he just got an easy header at goal and kind of bullied Lindelof. So I feel like Giroud can choose his strength to kind of get the best of the defenders. And yeah, just Giroud needs to get us back to goal, get Maguire out of the game, and help. And other players need to be close to him and help. We saw at Old Trafford early in the season, Werner, Pulisic and Mount didn't really have the best impact. Despite squabbling around all the players, we didn't create many chances. There was one by Werner where he kind of got it and just sliced it wide. But apart from that, we didn't really create much in that game. Yeah, we just need to commit forward more. Maybe Alonso needs to become a false forward, as we've seen a lot so far, get into the box and test David De Gea, who as well hasn't looked that great recently. I'd probably, if I was a Man United fan, I'd probably want Dean Henderson at this stage if De Gea keeps making mistakes. But yeah, I think we need to test De Gea, get some shots away. We've barely seen any gilt-edged chances missed under Tuchel, as we've seen under Lampard. Maybe Ryan has more confidence now. If he's in the positions that he was in under Lampard, the Fulham miss, the Leeds miss, if he's in them positions, I'm pretty convinced that he's going to score these chances now. He looks more himself. So yeah, I think we need to get close to the Man United goalkeeper in the defence, get some shots away, and yeah, we need to make the most of Man United's defensive frailties this season.
No, 100%.
I want to say
one
thing,
thing.
though. I think the one thing I can promise you about this game, right? There will be no space in behind because Ollie is going to come with the deepest block you guys have seen all season. There's no doubt in my mind. Like, he's going to put Simeone to shame with how deep a block he is about to play. So for me, a player like Werner, I think is going to be completely useless in this game because there is no way Ollie is going to let Maguire and Lindelof have space in behind them for fast guys to run into.
Right, you just a thing, Lyes. Timo Werner is Tarrant's most favorite player. So
he's your favorite player.
Don't dare call him useless.
Did you see my face when you said that? Oh, my face just dropped.
You are starving this season, brother.
I think Giroud's perfect for that game. With the less space, I think he'll be perfect.
I would agree with that. He played a really good game against us in the Cup semi-final last year too. If you remember, I think he did incredibly well against Maguire.
Actually, yeah, you're right. Let's talk about the final sort of round of the tactical sort of talks before we go into the formation. I'll go to Lyes. I do remember you talking about that particular FA Cup match a lot because we pressed you guys a lot. So what's your sort of feel towards our recent improvement in counter pressing? The way not just pressing but counter pressing. As soon as we lose the ball, we win the back and pin back the opposition so deep. And you're saying that you guys are going to probably hold deep. I think we're going to force you guys to be deep as well. So talk to me about that. And also, I know you did mention that Thiago Silva is one player that you would want to have removed from our team. But besides him, obviously he's injured. Besides him, who's the other one player that you think is a bit of a a notorious factor for you guys in this particular match?
Is this for us or for you guys? Like, who's the other player after Silva?
Yeah, from our team that you feel is probably going to be a bit of a notorious factor for
Mason Mount. Mason Mount for me has probably been your best player this season. I think a lot of people have had to eat some humble pie about him after making maybe some opinions on him last season, beginning of this season that, hey, maybe he's just Lampard's guy. Maybe he doesn't deserve he's a quality player, right? He provides energy every single game. And he provides a lot of skill. Like you're seeing in big games against some of Europe's most touted youngsters, right? Against Edouard Camavinga, against Rennes.
Just quickly, Jonathan, here's another opposition fan that's touting Mason Mount. Another one of those, tick that.
I think you have to, right? I think from what you're seeing, like when you think about even England's best team, he probably makes it. Like he does everything you want for a box-to-box midfielder, or you guys are playing him more in a forward position. Like he can do a job for you anywhere. And like I said, Camavinga, he outplayed him. João Felix, he outplayed him. Although these aren't like direct duels 1v1. Like these are games where like he's up against some of the most touted young players in Europe, and he's standing his ground, if not outplaying them. So for me, he's really the guy that like I think if Chelsea is going to win this game, I told you I don't think Werner will have a huge role in it. We'll talk about the midfield and for Chelsea and the attack in general, which I have a few reservations about, but I think Mason Mount is the guy that if you guys do anything good offensively, it will come from him, or even Hudson-Odoi. I think Hudson-Odoi has done exceptionally well under Tuchel. I definitely get the point of whoever said that they think Reece James should play this game, maybe to give more of a defensive 1v1 game against Rashford. I kind of get that as well. But Hudson-Odoi, another big threat for Chelsea. But I just want to touch on this one thing, and that's Chelsea's attack of the season under Tuchel, right? I give massive credit for him for how he's basically, like you said, bringing players that were completely out of the fold. Jorginho, Alonso, Rudiger, like you have to give him credit for that. You have to give him credit for the minute he walked into the club, he chose a system and stayed true to it, and he's not budging, right? You have to give him massive props for that, because for me, that's something Lampard didn't do. He was chopping and changing way too often. I don't think he was sure in his idea that what he wanted his Chelsea team to look like. Tuchel, you have no doubt about that. But there is a common theme now, Tuchel at Chelsea to Tuchel at PSG, and that's chance creation. And I think that if you guys are being honest with yourselves, the chance creation for Chelsea hasn't been good enough this season. And you can say as great a possession-based game as you played against Atletico Madrid in midweek, as dominant as you guys were in that game, as defensively solid as you were, you won that game off a back header from Hermoso that Giroud magnificently bicycle kicked in.
Individual brilliance.
Right. So, and like that also comes down to, I mean, I might be sounding ironic, right? I support United. Half our goals come from stuff like that. But at the end of the day, my point is, how sustainable is it? Right. There have been games this season where Chelsea, maybe against Southampton, for example, you guys created 1 or 2 chances in that game, and you guys got lucky. I won't say get lucky, because I don't like that, right? Like, every goal is in its own way a moment of brilliance, but it wasn't a great performance from Chelsea offensively. And I think that's been a kind of a theme, even in the FA Cup. I didn't think you guys played great against them. So against a United team that is going to be sitting deep, that's not going to be letting players like Werner or whoever plays up front run in behind, you are going to be having to have players that get on the ball and create chances, either through running at players or through passes in behind. And I think that's where, to Jonathan's point, Tuchel really doesn't have those kinds of profiles in his team, and you might see it more in the future. I think the only real player that can potentially play these balls in behind is Ziyech, and I think I said it right. Like, he's definitely not a Tuchel kind of attacker. I said I'd like to see him at the 10, but right now it seems he's so devoid of confidence. He's definitely not in Tuchel's plans at the moment. And then when you talk about 1v1 dribblers, right, you have Hudson-Odoi, who's been playing as an outside back, and Pulisic, who I also don't think Tuchel has especially high in his plans, and also is injury prone. So the question is, who's going to be creating these chances for Chelsea, right? Because with Kovacic and Jorginho, as great as they've been, it's a lot of sideways passing, keeping the tempo solid, making sure you don't play any risky balls like that, which is great. They do their job, but they're not going to be players that play a penetrating pass in between. Who are the attackers up front that are going to be getting on the ball, running at Wan-Bissaka or Luke Shaw, who have been in really good form recently, in contrast to the rest of the team? Who are those players that are going to be taking them on and getting space? Pulisic, for me, I think, is a player that should play this weekend against the deep block. All right, like, he's your best 1v1 player. Is he going to play? That's another question. But that's the kind of player I would play. But that it kind of follows the theme. I'm not sold on Tuchel's chance creation in his teams. Even at PSG, I thought it was a lot of Neymar and Mbappe getting on the ball and creating something out of nothing, and not a whole lot else. So it'll be interesting to see whether at Chelsea that remains an issue, or, like Jonathan probably correctly points out, he maybe just needs a different profile here or there.
No, well said, man. I do want to continue this with Nishad, but Nishad, before I do that, you had something to say, just quickly.
No, it's kind of gone already.
It's gone?
It's gone on the content. Yeah, it's fine.
Sorry, guys. He privately messaged me that he wanted to say something, but it's gone now. But sorry about that, Nishad. I do want to continue what Leah said about chance creation. Do you see in this particular match that there could be a possibility of someone like Ziyech or Kai Havertz or Pulisic? We do lack that. I feel like in that match against Atletico Madrid, I was pulling my hair out thinking, man, our final decision making is so poor. We get into good spots. Yep, many times we got into the byline with Callum Hudson-Odoi or even Timo Werner, and also Mason Mount found himself a couple of times in the box. But the decision making, I don't know what's happening to these guys, whether they're too excited, they just need to calm down a little bit when they get into those situations and just use their mind. Do you feel like there could be a possibility that we could see a profile like Ziyech, Havertz, or Pulisic have some impact in this match?
They could and they should, because they're those sort of players at that caliber who have that ability. But look at chance creation, chance conversion, decision making, and they all come together to see how many goals we're scoring per game under Tuchel. Yes, we've done brilliantly. Yes, we're unbeaten in 8 games. Yes, we're back on track for a top 4 finish, but we haven't scored more than 2 goals in any game. We haven't won a game by more than 2 goals. And one of the critiques I've had for a long time for Chelsea, and especially this season, is not being able to kill games off. And that's come back to bite us so many times. Southampton is a really good example where we gave away 3. We had 3 goals at home and then we drew 3-3 in the last minute. And you have those situations so often. And it doesn't make sense because we have so many talented attackers who score goals for fun, like a Timo Werner bagging 40 goals last season, Hakim Ziyech with 20 assists, Christian Pulisic post-lockdown. All of these players are capable of scoring, creating chances, and getting the results for Chelsea. But we have far too many situations where, while we've got the players, we've got the situations, and their chances are there to score and really seize the game and kill them off, but we don't. And it happens so often where it comes back to bite us, and we lose a game, we lose a win, it gets taken back to a draw, or we lose it completely. And it all comes back to not being able to take our chances. And like I said, it's not necessarily a personnel issue. It's not like we had, I don't want to come from him personally, but Michy Batshuayi against Man United last season, Taryn mentioned it gave me just traumatic feelings because that was a horrific performance. I paid my hard-earned money to watch that. And it was like, how can you be a striker leading the line? And he missed about 8-9 chances, but we do have players who can score. We look at Timo Werner, Tammy Abraham, Olivier Giroud. All of them are in double figures for this season. Olivier Giroud, this is a point I was going to make earlier about who we are starting. You can't score a bicycle kick in the Champions League against Atletico and be dropped the next game. He's 100% starting, surely. But we have those players and we have those options and that potential to really score and get those goals. And if we're not taking our chances more, we're not being more clinical, we can't push on and be a really serious team. Because look at City, look at United even. They scored goal after goal after goal. That 9-0 game is a perfect example where it was 5 or 6-0 and they were still going. City don't care. They can be winning 5-0, 6-0 and they will still go. That's the Guardiola mentality. And while I don't doubt that we don't see that in Tuchel, I think that needs to have more emphasis and be drilled into the players more. Because if we're not in that mentality and if we're not killing games off and getting loads of goals, it will come back to bite us in the long term very, very soon.
No, so true, man. We need to have that ruthless mentality. Right now, we need to be clinical. We're finding it very difficult to finish. So right now, the first aim is let's be clinical. Let's just put our chances away. And then the second one, as you said, Nishal, we can't just be happy with 1-0, 2-0. We need to go for the 3, 4, 5 and still be hungry to keep scoring. Because as you said, City are never, ever satisfied. Even after 5-0, 6-0, they want to pump in and absolutely annihilate the opposition. That's where we need to get to. Obviously, City, what this is Pep Guardiola's 5th season, I believe, with City. So it has taken them 4th. Yeah, so moving into the 5th next season. So it takes time to get to that, but I'm hoping that we do get to that. Let's get straight into the lineups, boys. I'll go to my main... 5. Okay. Some journalist you are, bro. Let's get straight into this lineup. I think the fan base and the live chat has been waiting for this. Jonathan, my main man, I want to start with you. Let me just try. I'm at my mate's place, so
Yeah, I did wonder for the background. Whilst you get that set up, I'm just going to say a couple of things actually on Man United because I've been talking about us not creating enough chances, not getting enough people in the box, not getting enough penetration going forward. I've talked about that for the last couple of weeks, and I've put quite a few tweets out with pictures specifying it. And I also did one today about Man United, and I know this is a little bit off topic. Diagne was the West Brom attacker that absolutely bullied Lindelof from minute 1 to minute 90. And that's exactly what Giroud can do as well. And the things I highlighted earlier was the fact that crosses into the box, Man United, you can bully them. They are not very good at tracking as well. And there was situations I looked at. I watched 10-minute highlights for the last 5 or 6 games. Sheffield United, there were so many times where they had one man in the box, no one going out to press, no one going out to block, no one tracking their men. In the Everton game, there was a situation in the Sheffield United and Everton games where they've scored from similar situations where they haven't come out and pressed. Hammers was a great example of that. And then
look at Lyes. Lyes is just dropping his head.
And then the Everton game. You look at those games. The Everton one where they drew 3-3, the West Brom one where they drew 1-1. There's situations in all these games. The Sheffield United where they lost 2-1. There's situations where Tuchel spoke about it. As Nishal said, he was listening to the conference. If I was Tuchel, I'd be really, really confident to press them. Not press them, but to impress ourselves in the opposition box because they don't win enough second balls. They always leave men spare in the box. So if you're just going to leave Giroud, we're not going to get anything. We need Mount, Werner, Giroud, Alonso, Hudson-Odoi, whoever's playing, even one of the midfielders to occasionally get on the end of the box. If we commit men forward, there's goals in this game. I know they're going to look at our lineup and go, we can get at that back 3, the wing backs when they go forward. One thing you can't really mention too much is the goalkeeper now because we're a little bit more settled in that area. But, I know we're looking at both teams. And as I said, I'm going off topic, but there's goals in this game, in my opinion, if Chelsea go for it. Because like Leah said, Solskjaer is going to sit back and go, we'll counter, we'll take the odd goal. And as I said, I believe a draw is a good result. But there's so many situations where we can take advantage of them. And we'll talk about the lineup in a second. But I'm confident we can score, but we just need to set up correctly.
No, man, 100% agree, Jonathan. I saw your post. I'm going to retweet that. By the way, guys, please follow Jonathan in Twitter right now. All the information's in there, and not just Jonathan. Every single one of these guys, please follow them in the social media. All the description in the in the information right now. Jonathan, I saw that tweet from you, and it's so true. And I've said it that United are massively suspect in defense.
That's why Lyes was sitting there kind of, he was just about to pick up his Arsene Wenger book and just start reading that.
And the classic example, as you said, the Sheffield United, the way they scored. There was so many times where, I think it was Rashford, where he was just sort of just walking around. Was it Martial? I can't really remember.
I think it was Rashford for the James goal against Everton. I don't know about the one for the Sheffield United one, but the first goal for Sheffield United, what's De Gea doing? Talk about being crowded in the box. So I watched, as I said, extensive highlights their last 7 games. I know all about United and Lyes' dirty little secrets. Yeah. We're going to exploit them on Sunday. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. We're going to go to our formation. I'll go to obviously Jonathan. But before we do that, Omar Khan, thanks for joining, my man. He's got a quick question. Lyes, thoughts on your favorite player, Federico Rodriguez de Paula Santos? Who is this player, Lyes?
He's a false footballer named Fred, bro. He's the worst midfielder in the top 6.
Oh my days! I'm like, who is this guy?
He's a false Brazilian, man. He's from Barnsley.
Well, I'm not talking about Fred here. Thank you so much, Omar, for that. Jonathan, my bro, let's do this. How we shaping? Obviously, we're shaping up with the wing back situation. I think there's no need to even talk about that. Let's go with your goalkeeper. There's no way you're giving Kepa opportunity in this particular match. You're sticking with Mendy.
Yeah, 100% Mendy, and I always feel privileged that you generally let me start off on these lineups. So it's very kind of you to let me sort of set the base out. Yeah, definitely Mendy, and I was going to make the point, and Lyes I think said it about Pulisic. He won't change the back five, in my opinion. We know what the back five is going to be. I think James has a good shout of playing. But yeah, Rudiger, Andreas Christensen, and Aspilicueta are the set 3, obviously with Silva out. My bingo card, ball playing, and Andreas Christensen. And if he plays well on Sunday, I'm wearing my Christensen shirt because he has been really, really good. But
did you say Christensen shirt? Mike,
yes.
Any player you saw Christensen.
I've had belief in him. No, I'll tell you what. It was on sale in the Megastore. It was a bug on the Chelsea website, and it was like 30 quid. There you go. Nichelle remembers it was like 30 quid long sleeved. I was like, bargain of the century. But also, I really believed in him. I thought he was going to be the step in for Thiago Silva when he got injured. I already envisaged it. Left wing back, I'd love to see Pulisic because I want us to attack Man United. Wan-Bissaka likes to get forward.
Pulisic,
but I'm gonna say Alonso, but I'm just making my case for Pulisic. I mean, Alonso, I feel like he will play, but Pulisic purely for attacking, like Lyes said, 1v1, he can exploit that Wan-Bissaka in my opinion. And Hudson-Odoi on the right, I think will play, but I get why you'd play James because. For his crossing ability, because I see the weaknesses in Man United, and a bit more defensively because you're going to have Rashford on that left-hand side. But Aspilicueta does normally keep his position. He's very good one-on-one, so I feel like Christensen can step across and intercept. And if you double up on that side with Christensen and Aspilicueta on Rashford, I feel like we could be effective. So that back five, I feel will play, but I'd love to see, even right wing back James and Hudson-Odoi on the left. I just want to see us attack, and I feel Alonso will play, and he could be that little forward. In the box because we need men in the box, and he could be really important on Sunday. But the pivot, we've talked about it, Jorginho and Kovacic. I think this is probably the lineup most of us would go for, so I'm not probably talking out of term. Kante, I get the shout. I'd like to see him as a sub, but up here, again, interesting from Lyes about Werner. I would still play Mount and Werner. But I get the points on Werner. I feel like he has been finding space on the left quite a few times against Atletico Madrid where he got to the byline, crossed. If we had more men in the box, we would have done well. The one time he broke on the left and got a good crossing of late, Giroud scored where he sort of sat back. We had 3 men in the box at that point. So it just shows if you get men in the box, the chance where James had against Southampton, we had men in the box. We missed the chance. Atletico Madrid, we didn't do it enough. But yeah, I feel like Werner and Mount will find space. Mount is the guy that's going to unlock the defense. He's going to be getting the ball and creating chances. And obviously, Olivier.
Mount's had success against Man United as well. We all know what he did.
Yeah, he's been. Yeah, he's been good against them in the FA Cup semi-final last year. He's our guy in form, and he seems to enjoy the responsibility he's got in this Chelsea side. So whilst I don't think this side's got enough attacking, as much attacking as I'd like, it's still got enough to cause them problems. So yeah, Giroud up front, as Nishal said, how can you drop a man that's just scored an acrobatic kick like that, overhead kick? It was a superb finish. That 3 minutes of waiting with VAR was almost enjoyable when we got the decision as a goal. So that's the base. I feel like I don't think there's too much up for discussion, but I'd see why the other people in the panel would want to see the odd personnel.
Nah, man, this will probably be my team. I'll see. I want to go to Lyes now and then get his team and see what the boys do off the back of that. If they do change that up a little bit, let me just see if I can just stop this and then start. Let me just see if I can get the Man United team out.
Should I make a little comment while you set that up?
Yeah, go on, bro.
What I find really funny about, because I'll say quickly now, I completely agree with Jonathan's lineup, like player for player, that's who I'd play. But what's really interesting is if you go back a month, half of those players are nowhere near anyone's predicted lineups or preferred lineups. Christensen, Rudiger, Alonso, Jorginho, maybe even Giroud and Kovacic. Half of that team is not in contention when you go back a month, but it just shows you how much has changed and how much will continue to change under Tuchel.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Lyes, bad boy. Let's start with the Man United lineup. What's the formation we're going with over here?
First of all, is this what I would like to see or what I expect Ollie to go for?
What you expect.
Okay.
Let's go with more sort of realistic, sort of your prediction. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I got you. So it'll be De Gea in goal then, because it'll be De Gea in goal. Let's just say that. It'll be Luke Shaw at left back. It'll be Wan-Bissaka at right back, and I think he'll probably go for Lindelof and Maguire because that's what he tends to go for in the bigger games.
Mm-hmm.
And then it really depends on who's fit. I don't think McTominay will be. Now I'll say McTominay will be back, knowing him. I think he'll be ready. He'll be buzzing to go for this game. Whether he should play is a different question. But I think it'll be McTominay, Fred, Bruno, of course, at the 10.
Who's your right back, by the way?
Wan-Bissaka.
Oh, yeah.
Bruno at the 10, Rashford on the left. Cavani, I think, will be out. I think it'll be Martial up front. And I think if he's fit, I think Ollie will go for Dan James just because he's gone from the last 2 or 3 games. Greenwood goal-scoring form hasn't been great. I think he's going to go for Dan James. And I think with Chelsea, they're going to be on the ball. They're going to be pressing high, looking for a goal at times. I think there's space in behind Marcos Alonso for James to get into. I'm not a huge fan of his game. I don't think he's particularly talented at all. But I think that one thing we have to give him is his speed and his work rate. And another thing is, if we're going to be sitting this deep, we need players who are going to be willing to track back, do the dirty work. And Dan James is a road runner. Like, he's going to be putting in effort, which I can't say. Rashford will not be putting in effort on the left. Like, he doesn't track back like that. Martial, same. Greenwood will come back here and there, but James will be running up and down that flank. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him start on the right if he is fit.
So let's just go through this. So you've got Fred and Matic in the pivot.
I think McTominay will be fit.
Okay, so it'll be Fred and McTominay.
Yeah, his favorite love childs for big games.
Yeah, absolutely butchering some of these names, but anyways, who you got on the left side?
Rashford.
And on the right side,
Dan James.
You got
Quick
Bruno
for the
Fernandes
counters as well.
Yeah, there you go. Speed. Bruno at the 10 and then Martial up front. Which is a shame. I would have loved to see Cavani. I think his movement could give players like Christensen, Azpilicueta, and Rudiger nightmares. But Martial, well, I mean, it's kind of just hoping the rotting corpse of Anthony Martial gives us one moment of magic. But I don't have much hope in the guy.
Nah, man, this looks like this is perfectly set up for a counter-attacking situation. Taryn, my boy, how you feel with this lineup?
Well, with the counter-attacks, I'd still prefer like Dan James to start over Greenwood any day as a Chelsea fan, because I just don't think Dan James has the end product in the final third to really affect us in any way, considering we have 3 centre-backs at the minute it's going to be hard for him to really get a clear run in behind. I think Greenwood would be better to maybe have those quick snapshots, maybe get them on target, maybe test Mendy. But yeah, Scott McTominay always turns up in the big games, so he's going to be key, I'm sure, for Man United. And obviously, Lindelof and Maguire are going to be quite nice to attack.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can manage that. Are you confident that with the attack that Lyes has put out, the back three and the middle two pivot that we have sort of said so far? By the way, just quickly, are you changing anything from Jonathan's lineup from that, or you keeping it pretty much same, Taran?
I think it's pretty much spot on, but I think that personally I wouldn't start Hudson-Odoi on the right wing back. I would start. I know it's a bit of a span on the works, but if it was my opinion, I'd probably put Hudson-Odoi left wing back and Reece James on the right. I'd like to see it work out, and yeah, I just think it's a span in the works. And Marcos Alonso hasn't really been contributing much. I know you're probably going to ask me about Alonso again in the review, as always, but tends to always happen. So hopefully I can talk about Hudson-Odoi instead. I have more to talk about with him. Yeah, I hope Hudson-Odoi can play on the left. Cut him.
Taran's listening to left wing back. Taran's listening. I told you. I want to see him there.
It's on my lineup on my piece of paper. I literally have him as a right wing, as a left wing back. So I had it from the start. Jonathan read my mind.
You know what, Taran? It is interesting that he could be deployed on the left side and he has that ability to cut in. I'm not really sure why Tuchel doesn't entertain that, but he did say a long time ago, when he started using Alonso, that his height and whatnot on the left side, defensive abilities when it comes to set pieces. Then again, I'm not really sure how much of defensive duties that Alonso really does. But yeah, Nishal, from your perspective, how do you feel about that Man United lineup that Lyes has put out, and also your lineup for us to sort of counter that? Are you sticking with what pretty much Jonathan has put out, or you got something different?
No, as I said, I'm sticking with Jonathan's lineup, but I think he got it down to a T, and that's perfect. It's exactly what I want. If we look at United's lineup, and what I've said about them throughout the season and throughout the tenure of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the further back you go in that pitch, the weaker it gets. The attack, brilliant. One of the best in the league, like I've said. I think when you've got Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood in top form, feeding in Edison Cavani and then Bruno Fernandes, I mean, what can you say about him? World class. The midfield, I share Lyes' sentiments. I don't think it's... I think you made a point earlier, actually, a few weeks ago, saying that it's not a title win in midfield. And I completely agree. Yeah. Completely agree. Because you look at Fred and McTominay, they're decent players. They're all right. But when you realise that out of your midfield options, you have Paul Pogba and Donny van de Beek, and that's been your starting midfield maybe once in like the FA Cup. Like that's the only time I can think of it. It doesn't make sense because that's your strongest midfield. If you want players who can win, oh look, his light's gone out. He's already had enough. But if you want players who can actually challenge for a title, who can actually challenge for a title, and be a good midfield, and you've got Paul Pogba and Donny van de Beek sitting on the bench, and you're playing Fred and Scott McTominay, it doesn't make sense. You're literally wasting your two best midfielders and like ruining a midfield pivot, which could challenge for the title. And then the defence, it's just... I've not rated Man United's defence for a long time. They spent £130 million on a defence and nothing has changed. It's still, I don't rate Maguire. Bailly on his day can be really good, but I don't think he's the strongest choice. I mean, I think he's your best centre-back. But I think
the problem with Bailly is that he's never fit. That's the biggest issue with him. I think when he's available, you don't really see poor performances from him, but he's just so unreliable. Like you can't count on him 2-3 games in a row. I think that's the biggest issue. But I want to just a quick point. Like for me, the defense, when you talk about like the further you get back, the worse it gets. That's true of the setup we have. But I think when you look, Luke Shaw for me has been the best left back in the Premier League this year. I think he's been that good. I think Wan-Bissaka at the very least is a good defensive right back. And I think Maguire and Bailly, for all the flaws Maguire has, I think Bailly will mask a lot of them. And then for me, the biggest one is De Gea. De Gea has become less than an average goalkeeper. So for me, like it's also personnel, not just like definitely defensively, like as Chelsea's the biggest example, right? You bring in a new coach and an entire system, an entire shape, an entire defensive structure can completely change. But at the same time, we have one of the worst goalkeepers in the league starting for us week in, week out. And Lindelof, who for me wouldn't get into 19 out of the 20 teams in the Premier League, in my honest opinion. So for me, a few switches here or there, I think would massively improve us. But your guess is as good as mine as to why they don't get made.
Just quickly, Lyes, I know you did say Luke Shaw, probably one of the best. Look, I'm not saying he's not good. He's definitely good. But Justin from Leicester, before he got injured, Justin's been pretty good. I'm pretty sure he plays on the left side as well. And he's been very, very good.
Been good too. Yeah, Justin has been great. But for me, Luke Shaw, I think defensively, offensively, I think has been amazing. Like for me, I was never a Luke Shaw fan. I thought Alex Telles coming in would be the first choice left back at United, but his arrival has just brought another level to United's game. And if you watch most of United's attacks, as you'll probably see this weekend, it almost all comes from him. Everything Rashford does comes from Luke Shaw, really allowing him to be able to drift in. He's the one putting all these brilliant passes into the box. He has as many assists as Robertson this year. Like he has been amazing at left back this season.
Wow, no, I didn't actually know that they had as many as Robertson in terms of assists. My lineup, guys, as well, will probably be very similar to what Jonathan has put out. I really can't see how he changed that. As I said, probably someone like Pulisic, Havertz, and Ziyech, maybe off the bench as an impact, but I can't see how they start this lineup that Jonathan has put out. I think it's pretty much bang on in terms of how I would start this match. I do appreciate what Taryn said in regards to Callum Hudson-Odoi starting on the left side, but I just can't see Tuchel making that. If we were to predict, it would probably be what Jonathan has set out. Guys, let's wrap this up with the live chat really asking for this. So do please disregard the whole Real Madrid CFC. I just had to change that. I actually didn't even need to change that. I could have just changed the shirts. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. Let's go with our mixed 11. How are we going to do this? Let's go with striker. Let's get everyone's sort of opinion on this. For me, I think if we were to look at Cavani seems like he's not going to be playing. Martial, I don't think. I think there's another Frenchman in the name of Giroud, probably trumps him. Just quickly, let's do the rounds. Let's go with Lyes first of all. Who's if we were to do a mixed 11, who's your striker here? Giroud. With the players that are available, obviously.
I think Giroud, not just in a mixed 11, in the French 11, he will have his spot this summer. I think he's better than Martial. Cavani, I like. He has a lot of great attributes that I think make him very unique. But Giroud, I think, I've said since last season, has been so hard done by Chelsea managers. And that I think he really is the striker that provides the most for you. And while he might not be the most easy on the eye at times in terms of his style of play, I think he's effective. And I think he is the best striker out of both squads.
No, absolutely, man. I don't think there's any disagreement with the lads in regards to Giroud being in the mixed 11 as a striker.
No, but I want to check, what are we basing it on? Like current form this season, overall ability?
Current form.
Okay. Yeah, Giroud's there for that bicycle kick alone.
I agree.
And also, guys, I just realized, what formation are we using here? We using the 4-3-3 just to keep things simple.
Yeah, let's do 4-3-3.
I think that's a good compromise.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, let's go to Nishal now. Let's work out the one on the left side. Who are you putting on this side? And then let's see if the guys sort of agree as well.
Because we're talking about current ability and current form, I'm going to go for Marcus Rashford, and it's peak to say that. It gives me a bit of solace to say that because I love Rashford for what he's done in the UK. He's our king. But in current form, Timo Werner could be there, but he's a striker. He could be scoring more. He's still getting back into his form. Christian Pulisic, like I've said, he's been in dreadful form for a few months. Marcus Rashford, I think he can be inconsistent. He can fail to really get up to those levels of consistency. But if I wanted someone to start for me on the left wing tomorrow out of those left wing options, it would probably be Marcus Rashford.
I think I have to agree. He's I think he's a lot more clinical at the moment than Timo Werner. And he does contribute to the goals. He's been in good form. Jonathan and Taryn, firstly, Jonathan, you agree with Rashford?
Yeah, can't doubt that. As Nishal said, king in the UK right now for what he's doing outside of football and being really a fantastic player on the pitch as well. That's how you become a role model, not all these other things that people talk about with footballers. Marcus Rashford is a fantastic role model on and off the pitch. So, yeah, superb player this season. Definitely the left winger for me. Can I start off on the right now, just before we hand over to Taryn?
Yeah, let's go.
So I'm going to say, as much as I like him, I've obviously shouted for him to play from the left for quite a while because I like his cutting in ability. But Hudson-Odoi, I know it's not position he's playing right now, but he's been one of the form players in the Premier League. So he has to play in this more attacking role. So he's the right winger for me. And that front three would cause havoc throughout this Premier League and even the Champions League. So yeah, Hudson-Odoi for me is the right winger.
Taryn, first of all, you agree with the Rashford situation, and also how you feel about the right side with Callum Hudson-Odoi, or do you have a different name?
Yeah, as much as I love Timo Werner, and he is one of my favourite players at Chelsea. Now you have to go Marcus Rashford for that position, purely for his individual ability to create something out of nothing, his shooting, the way he affects the team, and obviously his work off the pitch is really inspirational for a young lad like me and for a lot of people. So yeah, obviously I have to go for Rashford. And on the right, if it was considering to be more inverted like wingers, I probably would have gone for Mason Mount, considering he is playing as like a right cam at the minute in that system. But yeah, on form, if it is a pure winger system, I'm going for Hudson-Odoi. But purely, I'd probably go for Mason Mount overall in that position.
I just don't like. I'd actually put Mason in the midfield, so we'll get to that. But I don't like Mason in the wing. Nishal and Lyes. I'll go to Lyes first up. Do you have a different opinion on that right side, or are you sticking with Callum Hudson-Odoi?
Yeah, I think Hudson-Odoi has been really good since Tuchel came in, right? I think that he's been crying out for a manager to really wrap an arm around his shoulder and give him an opportunity and put faith into him. And I thought it was super overblown, I thought, when Tuchel kind of took him off as a sub, because it's not a situation where Hudson-Odoi has kind of been neglected or not been given a chance. Like, Tuchel has clearly put a lot of faith into him. And I think Tuchel probably won't make a decision like that again. And it was never going to be a long-term thing, right? Like he clearly is one of Tuchel's guys. So for me, I think he's been really good. He was a player I definitely thought had a good future under Tuchel when the appointment was announced. And I have to agree. I think right wing, he definitely has to be at that position.
I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to veto anyone. I think it has to be Bruno Fernandes. There's no discussion on this one. Let's go straight to Nishal. Nishal, we don't necessarily have to look at this as a double pivot, as per, we could probably look at it as two centre mids. Who are you having as one of your midfield players? Let's go with this one.
I'm thinking who we combine out of those midfielders. And as I've said, I don't highly rate United's midfield. And, we have a lot of good midfield options. But purely for the fact that I think he has to be in this team, I'm going to put Mason Mount there. And because he can play as a central midfielder, my heart wanted him to be obviously in that attacking 10, but Bruno's got to be there. But if he's playing, he can play as a box-box midfielder, he can play as a centre midfielder perfectly. And I just imagine, just looking at our team, imagine Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount playing together. That would be just insane.
I'm excited.
Insane. But yeah, I'll go for Mason.
I think we can all agree it has to be Mason Mount here. Jonathan, who is going to be your player here that you think deserves to be just behind Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes?
I was hoping you wouldn't come to me for this one. This is difficult because, look, are we going to attack? Do we want someone to sit and hold? Because, I don't really want to go Fred McTominay because I don't really like them. I don't really think Jorginho, Kovacic for this role. So it's all about who do I want to get in this team, like Charles Mason Mount. And I think Kante,
and there has to be a balance as well, Jonathan. You look at the lineup right here.
There has to be a balance, and that's the thing. Jorginho can't play as a DM. Kovacic can't play as that. Fred McTominay can't. And as much as I don't think Kante can, I just think to have a world-class player, I know he's not in my lineup, but Kante gets into both of these teams, in my opinion. So I really want to put Kante in.
I do like the shout of Kante, but I want to throw a spanner in the mix. Matic. What about Matic? I know he's not in form.
Just deep decline.
It's a good shout. He's a holding player.
No.
Matic,
You're not suggesting
on his day.
No.
Matic on his day is better than all.
I thought you were going to say Donny van de Beek or something. On his day, current ability.
I did say I was going to put a spanner. Donny van de Beek. I mean, look, it'll just throw the whole thing. We might as well just.
Donny van de Beek is not getting anywhere.
I'm using my veto for N'Golo Kante. I don't care. I'm using my veto. Get him in.
Does everyone agree with Kante? Elias, what's your thoughts from Man
You'll
United?
never hear me bigging up Fred, so you know what? You guys can anyone other than Fred, you guys can put in there. I would put Kovacic. I would put Kovacic in that midfield position personally.
I just feel like it'll be very imbalanced, man, with Kovacic in the team.
I mean,
It'll
it's
just
just
be
it's
so
fantasy,
imbalanced.
right? So
Do you know what we could do for this team? We could do 2 8s and then Conte as a holding midfielder. So then we really have that attack.
Yeah.
So would you have it some like are you sort of setting
higher up, a bit higher, like in the middle of that line, in the middle of a light green line.
If we're being real, Paul Pogba and crutches is better than all these guys. If we're being real, if we're being real about it.
You know what? Let's go with Kante. I think it's safe to say that at the moment it'll be Kante. Let's go from the back at the moment. Let's go to Taron. Taron, who's your right back, man?
I'm actually going to stick with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think that he is close to Reece James.
I think
Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Chelsea fans, you know where to find Taron. You know where to find Taron.
No, I have to be fair. I think that Wan-Bissaka, I'm going to put him into just because this team's a little bit imbalanced at the minute, so I'm going to go for his defensive
Jonathan
work.
and Nishal, Wan-Bissaka as well.
No, Reece James.
Reece James can't get in over a winger right now, man. How's he going to get in over a fullback?
Yeah, and N'Golo Kante's also on the bench. So,
Jonathan, you get the final shout, bro. Whoever you say will go.
This is very tough because remember we're going off recent form and let's say the last 5-6 games and James hasn't really played too much. And as much as I'm not the biggest Wan-Bissaka fan, probably have to put him there. But Reece James, if we're going overall, he is the better right back, even though he's better going forward. I would put James long term, but we're talking about recent form, the last few games.
Exactly, that's my point.
So we have to go Wan-Bissaka. But James, I don't like putting James on the, not putting James in over Wan-Bissaka. It hurts me to say that, but it just shows we're not biased, I think. But
true.
Yeah.
I know you want your bad boy Luke Shaw in the left back position.
There's no argument for this one, right? Alonso is crap. Chilwell has been poor. There's no argument.
Gets in, bro. I think.
What happened to recent form? Alonso scoring them goals.
As a
As
left back, I don't think Alonso will cut it.
Not as a left back, but in current form, if you put him in the team.
Yeah, he's playing as a wing back in current form.
Man, he barely cuts it as a footballer, man. There's no way Alonso's making it.
Les, man, you're giving it too much, all right? You need to understand this is a Chelsea channel, bro. You need to calm down. All right, boys, this is undoubtedly, I don't trust any of the Man United defense. It has to be current form. We'd have to put Andres Christensen and I don't know. This is quite interesting, actually. Let's get everyone's thoughts. Who are we going with?
Who are we going with?
Let's go with Nishal. Nishal. Who's your two in the middle? And then we'll get everyone's opinion.
Overall, I would have said Silva and Zuma as the best centre-backs. But if we're talking current form, current ability, because my man Reece James has been finessed and we're going in current form, I'm going to go for Christensen and Aspie.
Christensen and Aspie. Oh,
I think that works because I'll say Aspilicueta, I can completely get why they'll be contentious because while he can play as a centre back, it's only in a back three where he's on the right hand side. To put him in really central is a bit more risky. But I think even then, I don't want Christensen Rudiger, to be really honest. Like Aspie has to be in there.
Fair enough. Jonathan, I'll go to Taron firstly. Taron, Aspie, Christensen, is that the combination for you?
Yeah, I don't think we should have done it on current form. That is causing a lot of debates. I probably would have gone with Reece James. If it was on current form, 100% Reece James. I'm not a Man United fan, I promise the live chat. I'm not. But I'm definitely not going to go with Aspie as a in a four as a centre back. Unfortunately, I'm going to go with Andreas Christensen on current form. Antonio Rudiger's been, apart from a little mistake, he's been flawless. So I'll go Rudiger.
I think so as well.
Yeah,
he's been
good. He's been really good.
None of this Eric Bailly
I'll go Rudiger
Eric Bailly.
As much as that two don't really. Yeah, I'm going Rudiger and Christensen.
All right, let's have him. Who's your two?
Go on, absolutely awful. I'm sorry. Like, if we're not looking at current form out the window, if you play that back four, you are not getting anything. That's Europa League standard. I'm sorry, man.
Liz, who's your two pairings, bro?
Hey, man, I think this is where the Chelsea bias is kicking in, man. Because personally, I think it has to be, give me that old school one ball playing center back, one destroyer, and I'll take Christensen Bailly, man, every day of the week. I think Eric Bailly, for me, if you talk about pure defensively, he's better than Azpilicueta for sure in a back four. And
Current form, has Eric Bailly been playing at all?
Yeah, man, he played the last game.
All right, fair enough.
And in fact, here's a stat for you. Here's a good stat for you guys. Eric Bailly and Victor Lindelof, when they played together, 8 games, 8 clean sheets. Bailly and Maguire, when they play together, 21 games, I believe, 17 clean sheets. Maguire and Lindelof, when they play together, they have maybe like 10 clean sheets in like 40 games. Bailly is the glue out of all those guys. So for me, Bailly and Christensen, I think, first of all, would be the best fit. And I think in terms of ability, I think I don't know. I think you guys. I
like it. I like it. To be honest, I like it. I do like Bailly and Christensen. I think I have seen Bailly being at times error prone. It reminds me a little bit of Rudiger, but he probably is a bit better than Rudiger. Jonathan, once again, your last call here, and we will finalize this off the back of that.
Christensen, 100%. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, this is why we've done it on recent form, and it's difficult because people are going to look at this team and go, "What on earth is this?" Because we should have a better 11 than this. This 11 is not as good as it could be. But yeah, on recent form, whenever I watch Bailly, he's, as Lyes says, he is their best defender by a long stretch. And the other players in our defence at the moment, we're playing the back 5, and as Rudiger's done really well, but I would just go for Bailly. But to have three Man United defenders, I'm sorry, I don't think that is just. I can't quite fathom how on earth we've allowed this to happen.
You can have the goalkeeper who makes you feel better.
If only we had a good right back who was English.
Oh, bro, the goalkeeper is ours, man. There's no discussion.
You can have a goalkeeper.
Get out of here. The goalkeeper is not even up for discussion.
Than De Gea in bed. Like laying in bed, not as in, you know what I'm talking about. Like sleeping better than De Gea. Because
as Nishal said, this is not even Europa League quality.
No, it isn't. That defense is pretty damn awful, I'll be honest with you. But this is why it's on recent form. Disclaimer, this needs to be said. This is not everyone's 11, joint 11. This is on recent form. I think that has to be said. And that is very, very different to what it would be if we were talking about, you know, the team, the best team that we could build, because it's imbalanced. The wing backs, not massively convinced having them as a pair. Bailly, Christensen, yeah, that is not that good of a team, I'll be honest with you.
Let's go on the rounds now. Let's go on the rounds now. I'll be honest. I think that front line, Giroud, Cho, Rashford. But once again, guys, this is based on current form. That's how we're going and doing it. Because if we were to say that who's, you know, on the whole squad, well, you know, it'll be totally different. But you know, right now on current sort of form, I don't mind that sort of front line. That front line is pretty solid. Obviously, defensively, there's issues. Personally, I think this team will definitely struggle in the Premier League. There's no doubt about that. That defensive line is not one bit good. Kante as lone DM, I've never liked that. But yeah, going forward, looks like there's goals. Nishal, your thoughts on this to wrap things up?
You can tell I'm fuming about lineup. I don't know how we've allowed that to happen. How we've allowed three defenders from Manchester United to make that team. My blood is boiling. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be neutral. I'm supposed to be Swiss journalist, proper neutral, properly on the fence. But no, I'm not having that. I'm not having that defense at all. But the
this comment from that wall sums it up. This team stinks.
Let me ask you guys this though, real quick. These are the same players defensively. Honestly, you can probably argue. First example, Nishal, you said your best two would be Zuma and Silva, a partnership that has not featured under Thomas Tuchel. I think that proves to you the importance of a manager and how much structure and defensive organization matters. So for me, if you put Tuchel in charge of this team, the defense would be fine. I don't think it's as big a problem in terms of personnel as you guys are making it out to be. I think if Tuchel was in charge of this United defense, it'd be a lot better, in my opinion. And I think if Oli, on the other hand, was in charge of that Chelsea defense, I don't know if you guys would be so confident in the likes of Christensen, Azpilicueta, and Rudiger.
No, fair point. Look, you know what? We could probably discuss about that lineup all day long and have a mad laugh about it. Shout out to Dami. Guys, go and subscribe to his channel as well. He brings up awesome content. So shout out to him. Guys, let's get into the prediction. Let's wrap things up. Let's go to Jonathan. Jonathan, what are you predicting? Score prediction, please.
I said it for Atletico Madrid. I'm gonna say 2-1 because I feel like we will commit men forward. hopefully, fingers crossed. But they are going to score a goal, in my opinion, on the counter. They've got a goal in them. You can't tell me that we're going to keep that attack quiet. So I'm going to say 2-1, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was a 1-1 draw. But I'm hoping we're gonna win the game and it's 2-1.
I feel they're not even going to score. I'm going with at least a 1-0 or a 2-0. I think we're going to be quite resolute at the back and be able to negate them from scoring. So I'm going, and at home as well. I know there's no fans, but at the end of the day, Thomas Tuchel, we also have to consider that he hasn't really conceded two goals, one open play against Atletico Madrid. We kept them, they haven't even had one shot on target. So I'm backing Thomas Tuchel to go with either 1-0 or a 2-0 because we're not clinical enough, but I'm quite confident we can keep a clean sheet. Taryn, your prediction?
Yeah, I just want to say there's three things always that are certain to happen in life: death, taxes, and a Bruno Fernandes penalty. So there's definitely going to be a Bruno Fernandes penalty somewhere in there. Whether it's a dive, it's flying, he's going to jump on the crossbar and fall over. I don't know what he's going to do this time, but yeah, it's good. I think it's going to be a 2-1. I'm going to go with Jonathan's prediction as well. I think that with 2 goals, maybe Olivier Giroud double. I can see Olivier Giroud double, maybe a Callum Hudson-Odoi goal, something like that. Even a set piece, maybe our first set piece of the season. But yeah, I'm definitely going to say a 2-1, and he's definitely going to sneak in a penalty somewhere.
Oh, man, I hope not, bro. If he does sneak in a penalty, bro, who's going to be the one messing up? Just quickly, Taryn. Who's going to be... Is it Alonso that's giving away that penalty?
I'm saying Rudiger. Sorry about it. I'm saying Rudiger. He has it in him.
I thought you were going to say Alonso because I'm going to talk about Alonso with you in the review. Nishal, your prediction, my man.
I'm also going to go for 2-1 Chelsea. I'm going to go Giroud and Werner for Chelsea. And yeah, Bruno Fernandes penalty will probably. I don't know.
Everyone, yeah, I think everyone's.
Jonathan's on fire today with his predictions.
Everyone, just take note. Bruno Fernandes in the Fantasy Premier League. Everyone's kind of sort of hoping he's going to score. Lyes, let's let you close the show up. Your prediction and be as biased as possible, bro. Sort of spice things up.
Nah, I'm not going to be spicy. I'm going to actually put a dampener on all of your guys' predictions. This is going to be another stale 0-0 result. I'm here to tell you that, unfortunately. You look at United's results against the big teams this year, guys. Liverpool 0-0, Arsenal 0-0, Chelsea 0-0, Man City 0-0. Hey, you said death taxes, Bruno Fernandes penalty. Death taxes, and big game Ollie parking the bus. That's the 3 certainties in life. And I think the deep block is going to further frustrate Tuchel's lack of creation in this team. And I think, on the other hand, there are games where United can be clinical, but there are also games where they get 2 chances and they unfortunately don't take either of them. So I'll say 2-0. Sorry, not 2-0. 0-0. But if I had to give the edge to anyone, I would say Chelsea, both their run of form, the players they have available, and also just being at home as well.
Nah, for sure, man. I think if we're talking about from form point of view, we are ahead. Soccer Turtle Ollie is going to rent out Jose's bus. Yeah, get that on rent. I don't know. Jose likes to put the bus as well, so I'm not sure how much renting is going to be possible. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps us up. Obviously, it's been a long stream, but this is what was going to be happening when we talk about the Man United game and have pretty much covered everything. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you heaps for joining, and hope you guys enjoyed that. And to all my panelists, I will see you guys post-match, not probably Lyes. Lyes, I do believe you have a preview in your channel tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so. If it goes through, we'll have Miz on for sure. I'm not 100% sure if it'll go through, but if it does, stay tuned for that.
Brilliant. And guys, as I said, please follow all of my panelists. All the information in the description right now. And until next time, guys, see ya later.